Hello, my name is Andrew Havlovick, and you're watching my presentation on IT disposal opportunity costs, which is my business project proposal project for RS600, Research and Business Product Development. So as an introduction to this project, the reason I am looking at doing this project is because I work for company XYZ, which is a Fortune 500 manufacturing company, and I work in the IT department of that company. And I very frequently work with information technology, which includes computer hardware, such as laptop computers and desktop computers, as well as what's called peripherals, which are monitors and keyboards, as well as mice, monitor stands, thin clients, and other types of IT hardware. And it's very important when we think about information technology to not just think about buying it, but also the entire life cycle of information technology. We have to buy it from somewhere. It gets set up for use by people in the company. And then once it's done being used, it has to be disposed of somehow. So for that reason, the purpose of this research project is at company XYZ to measure computer hardware and peripherals in terms of quantities, types, and conditions of computer hardware and peripherals. So what I'll be looking at is within my company and my department, how many laptops, per se, that I would be disposing of in this department, what types of laptops, what types of monitors, how many, and what condition are they in? Do they still function? Do they not function anymore? In addition, as a second part to this research project, I'll also research industry disposal options, which are the methods that are available in the industry for disposing of computer hardware and peripherals. And this will look at the costs of these services as well as the types. And some types could include reselling the devices, so refurbishing them and making them available. Donation is another example of a type of disposal option, or simply recycling it, so breaking it down and getting the core materials out of it. And as the final piece, I'll take the information from the measurement as well as the disposal options and synthesize them. And then what that'll allow me to do is define costs for company XYZ of addressing different types of disposal options. As results of this research will provide visibility into the disposal process of IT hardware and will help the company identify and implement cost savings efforts related to end user IT hardware. So there are a few definitions. I tend to be a bit of an IT nerd, so it's IT is a world of a lot of jargon where there's a lot of phrases that I use every day, and it's easy to forget that other people might not understand them. So to start off, there's something called a thin client. A thin client is a computer device that does not have a hard drive. So it has a network jack, it has a way to attach a monitor, but there's no hard drive on the device. And that actually uses, it's kind of another way to call it as a dummy terminal. So it grabs its picture from another computer far off somewhere else in the company. A thin client is an example of the types of devices that, one of many devices that my department manages. An important term is end users, and that is the term that in IT we use for people in the business, people doing their jobs. So people in accounting, people in HR, people in manufacturing design, they're all called end users because they use the computers, the laptop computers, the desktops, and the monitors, keyboards, mice, monitor stands. They're the people who actually use these devices. In addition, the term re-imaged is something that in my department we talk about with laptops and desktop computers is when we wipe the hard drive on that computer and then install our own version of we use Windows 7, which is very common, and then install our company software on there as well. Peripherals, as a general term, is anything that's not the computer that's used in IT. So, not the laptop and desktop, but peripherals include monitors, mice, keyboards, USB flash drives, monitor stands, and anything else that plugs into the computer. The term asset management is really a general term. In IT, assets are really what, if you think of from a business standpoint, an asset is something you own that has value. And from IT, assets include hardware and software. And software asset management won't be focused on. It's very wide ranging. And this really is a part of hardware asset management. Where is this hardware, this computers that we have, and where are they going? And finally, the last definition is infrastructure, which is a term for the physical computer devices and networks that link them together. Every company that uses IT has their own infrastructure, but this does not include applications or does not include other enterprise software that they may use. It's really mainly the devices and the hardware. For issues to be examined, as a little background, Company XYZ has plans to implement IT asset management, which is really a more formalized system of keeping track of hardware and software programs within the company. But as part of this effort, there has not been an effort yet to measure computer hardware and peripherals, whether that is how many we're buying, how many we're disposing. So that's an area where there is some area for research. As part of this project, I will need to examine IT hardware lifecycle models that are already out there. For example, total cost of ownership model, TCO, hardware lifecycle costs, and cost benchmarks that are different types of ways of looking at IT hardware and how those costs are affecting the business. In addition, legal implications will include the Sarbanes-Oxley Act of 2002. As the methodology of this research project, there will be two pieces. Really, there will be the disposal measurement, which will measure what is being disposed of at the company, as well as the disposal costs, which is looking at the third-party industry vendor landscape to see what options there are out there. So in terms of disposal measurement, the study will be longitudinal, so it will measure probably about 1 month of disposal from my department. The research data will be quantitative and qualitative. The majority will be quantitative, as in quantities of IT hardware and peripherals that will be disposed of. The qualitative aspect will be interpreting some of the conditions, looking at a monitor that's got a scratch on the front of the screen. It's not 100% clear immediately that what state that is in, does it work or does it not. So qualitative research will be involved to figure out if that can be reused, can it be refurbished, and how that all fits together. And in terms of primary data, that will be collected using a log, most likely using some sort of database system or a spreadsheet. And then it will also research disposal service providers and possibly gain data from these service providers to see their costs, their options, the methods that they use. On the other side is the measurement of disposal costs. And this will be a cross-sectional survey, so it will look at the industry as it currently stands and see what the disposal costs are for IT hardware and peripherals. It will also involve quantitative and qualitative research, and in addition to the primary data from exactly talking to these vendors, there will also be secondary data in the form of examining trade journals and magazine articles regarding IT hardware and peripheral disposal, as well as looking at the service provider websites for these disposal services. And both of these sections do support the research purpose. The scope of this research project will cover end-user computer hardware and peripherals, so laptops, desktops, keyboards, mice, monitors, etc., as well as IT disposal services that are local and that are well established. So local as in geographically close to company XYZ and to one of the facilities. There are many facilities within this company. And well established is not a fly-by-night brand new disposal service. It's a disposal service that meets environmental and regulatory standards, and that is somewhere that a Fortune 500 company would even consider partnering with. This research project will not research any company XYZ subsidiaries. There are a few, and the scope would be too large to handle in this project. And it will also not cover other IT non-end user departments. So that would include servers or networking equipment, things that are not, my department does not deal with day to day and really are not known to the end user. The end user really just interfaces with the computers and laptops from my department. And finally, we will not research the IT disposal services that cannot handle the volume produced by my company, as well as the security requirements, which do require a high level of security to make sure that no company data is accidentally passed on to a user downstream that from a device that was not wiped, for example, that still had some information on the hard drive and was not erased completely. As the intended audience for this proposal and this research project is mainly company XYZ management, and from the IT side, this will include the IT infrastructure director, and as you recall, that infrastructure is the physical components that make up the IT department of what we can provide to end users at the company, as well as the end user services director. So the end user services director reports up to the IT infrastructure director and deals specifically with the computers and the services that my department provides directly to users in the business. And both of these roles deal with IT disposal decisions. The end user services director is on a lower scale, but still a large scale of what happens to the computers and the peripherals, but the infrastructure director makes more of the high level decisions. In addition, the environmental department manager will need to be considered as a potential member of the audience because they make company-wide disposal decisions. So in conclusion, this research project will measure the computer hardware and peripherals in use at company XYZ, as well as research the disposal costs of these computer hardware and peripherals. And the results of this research project will increase disposal process visibility at company XYZ, lower the IT costs, and improve the environmental impact of the IT department at company XYZ.